Hi everyone, Antoinette here. Welcome to my 100th video on YouTube. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 myths about introverts. Now sometimes when you assume these things about introverts, you may be right. However, if you apply them across the board, they're going to be myths because they're not indicative of all introverts. The first myth about introverts is that introverts are shy. Introversion and shyness are two completely different things. Can they look like the same thing from the outside? Yes, but they're completely different. Introversion is when people get their energy from inside. That's how they're energized. And when they are spending time outwardly with other people, in crowds, with a lot of external stimulus, that can be draining. That's completely different from shyness. Shyness is this fear of social judgment, those feelings of self-consciousness. So completely different than introversion. My own tagline for my life is formerly shy, forever introverted, because yes, I used to be both. However, I'm no longer shy, but I am still introverted. The second myth about introverts is that they're hard to get to know. And the reason why I think that people tend to think this is because the introvert's not going to just voluntarily tell you all about themselves like an extrovert. Either they won't share it unless they know that you really want to know, which means that you're asking for it, or sometimes they won't share it until they feel really comfortable with you and they feel a connection with you. So does it take more time to get to know an introvert? Yeah, because it takes more effort, but it doesn't mean that they're hard to get to know if you extend that effort and if you allow enough time. The third myth about introverts is that they're unhappy. Just because somebody's an introvert, it doesn't really have anything to do with how happy or unhappy that they are. People tend to often think this because the introvert, it tends to be more serious. They're thinking a lot. And believe me, as introverts, we always are thinking and we're always overthinking. And what happens when most people think? They tend to get more of this thinking face expression. They don't have this smile plastered on their face because they're thinking internally. So what happens with a lot of others is they think that the introvert is unhappy because they're quiet, they're not talking, they have a serious look on their face, when really the introvert is just getting their energy internally. Another reason why people will think that introverts are unhappy is because they don't want to go out as much as extroverts do. They tend to like to be by themselves for periods of time. They like to be at home in their own environment for periods of time. And a lot of times people who are more extroverted think that they're unhappy or they're lonely. That was the case with me when I lived alone. People would say, don't you get lonely? Aren't you unhappy living alone? Actually, I enjoyed it. The fourth myth is that introverts are all alike. If somebody's introverted, then they're introverted, when really there is a spectrum of introversion. Some introverts would absolutely hate doing videos like this, where myself, I'm an introvert, but I love doing videos like this. Some introverts love to stay at home 90% of the time. Other introverts, they just need spurts of alone time. So it really does differ. Putting all introverts in the same box is a mistake. I've got a video above and in the description below that talks about the spectrum of introversion and extroversion. The fifth myth about introverts is that they don't like extroverts. Extroverts can really be delightful and a breath of fresh air a lot of times for introverts because we see the differences, we see the strengths of extroverts. Extroverts are going to be the one to take the initiative. Extroverts are going to be the one to do the talking. A lot of times there's less expectation on us to perform whenever we're with a group of extroverts because we can sit back and just be quiet and observe. Now, sometimes extroverts can be overwhelming to introverts. Sometimes they can frustrate introverts, but it doesn't mean that all introverts dislike all extroverts, especially when the extrovert is aware and in tune to the introvert, and they can temper down a little bit of their energy when needed. Introverts love that. In fact, I did a video that I have above and in the description below about the things that introverts admire in extroverts. If you're an introvert and you have been accused of other things that are myths about being an introvert, please feel free to share those in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed this video and I hope you will subscribe to my channel.